Alright, hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another tea talk. We're on a roll, people. I am officially back following through on my word. That means a lot on my channel if you've been following me for a long time. I'm like a consistent person in the fact that I've been showing up for almost 10 years, but it's hard for me to stick to an actual pattern, which is why every episode I can actually get up, we're just gonna be like, wow, did it again. Good job, Nikki. So I want to say at the top of this video, I think we've officially got Tea Talk going back up on podcasts. So if you don't want to watch this, you can go listen to it on iTunes. And it actually, like my podcast stream might even be up on Spotify now. I'm not sure. We're working towards that. But we'll see. So check the links down below if you're wanting to listen instead of like have the video on. So today I'm sitting back outside. I'm hoping there won't be a ton of noise. You know, you're probably just gonna hear the birds. I don't see any gardeners around. Nobody's mowing their lawn. So hopefully we'll be good to go in this episode. The last time I filmed, actually the episode that I filmed about why I decided, like why I changed my mind about having babies, you already know it turned into like a lot going on out here. But I really like filming outside, and if you've been following my channel for a long time, you know that's kind of where I started my channel, was filming outside of my parents' house, so very exciting times. So today, you know, it's funny because every time I sit down to film a tea talk, I've said this before, I kind of just like, it's not scripted, I kind of just talk. And I told Dan, you know, right as I was walking out the door, I'm like usual, I never know what I'm gonna say. So it's always a little bit like, you're ready, right? I think a lot, I process a lot, I'm absorbing a lot of information, but I'm never really sure how I'm going to kind of address a subject. But today, I'm gonna be talking around the topic of hypocrisy, being a hypocrite, being hypocritical. This is actually something I've been thinking about a lot lately. You know, I haven't really addressed much of what's been going on in the world on my channel, hardly at all, or really much on any social media, and that might be changing coming up soon, because as I mentioned in my last two videos of Tea Talk, by the way, if you like see lights on my shirt, I'm actually pumping right now. I should have said that in the beginning. I thought I could wait, and then I was about to sit down and I'm like, dude, I talk for so long, I should just put my pumps on now because this could be an hour. We'll see. Anyways, addressing kind of what's been going on in the world currently, I might venture into that a little more because, as I mentioned before, I'm going to start bringing guests back on my channel for Tea Talk. I think I'm kind of trying to figure out right now how to do the whole like video chat recording thing, and I have a few friends specifically that I want to bring on my channel to just discuss different things going on in the world. I'm always going to broach things my own way at my own comfort level, and you know, a lot of people have been really upset at me for not addressing what has been going on in the world, but there have been so many reasons that I haven't, and one of those many reasons, car, hi and bye, one of those many reasons is because it's all everyone is talking about, right? It's completely consuming, I think, a lot of people's focus and just world right now, and there's been a really big part of me that's felt like I don't need to contribute to that, because you're getting it everywhere. And I feel like, you know, even though so much is going on in the world right now that is just, it's been heartbreaking for probably everyone for a lot of different reasons, you know, life is still having to go on, and I realize it's not going on like normal, but you still have to wake up, you still have to eat, you still have to take a shower, you still have to take care of babies if you have babies, and so it still keeps going. And so there's just been part of me that's been, you know, unsure, not wanting to be another voice. I feel like there's so many voices coming at all of us, and I've kind of just felt like, do I really need to add my voice to all of this? You know, I've also mentioned before that I have I don't know, controversial views in general, I guess. I don't really know. Point being, I might be addressing more specifically what's been going on in life as time unfolds. We'll see what happens. But today, the topic of hypocrisy, car, this is something that I've thought about a lot in life, and it kind of ties into a couple of other things. And I've actually talked about this on my channel before. My brain is actually thinking about the time that I talked about gossip on my channel, and really trying to understand the difference. This is something I still kind of wrestle with, between sharing your heart with a friend and trying to find a solution versus gossip. And, you know, hypocrisy, being a hypocrite, is kind of one of those other things that I think can be kind of slippery. And I kind of think everyone's a hypocrite to one degree or another. I'm now thinking of another thing I've mentioned on my channel before of like, you know, I try really hard to be a nice, good person. I feel like most people do. I try really hard to think of other people when I'm saying things and doing things. I try to be like caring and empathetic for my friends. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that I have unintentionally hurt people in my life. And I've mentioned this before, there have been times where not only have I unintentionally hurt people, but I've actually been striving for the opposite, where like I was trying to do something kind for them and somehow, lost in translation, mixed up, whatever, it ended up being interpreted as the exact opposite. Like I had really hurt those people. And so they not only didn't see my heart, but it was misconstrued, misunderstood, to be the exact opposite. Like I had gone out to intentionally hurt them. And maybe that doesn't even kind of hold hand in hand with hypocrisy, but it kind of made me think about that because, you know, with a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in the world, there's a lot of, people are very divided. People have very distinct opinions, and a lot of them, I mean, they run the gamut, right? There's all kinds of opinions about everything right now. And I feel like thinking about, yes, looking at other people, but thinking about myself, I've noticed how hypocritical we all can be. You know, we're very quick to be like, why are people so mean? Why can't people just be nice? Why isn't everyone nice? And then we will make a rude joke behind closed doors, or we'll talk badly about someone to someone else, or kind of the thing that I was kind of looking at myself about, and this is not a place that I really sit, but this is just something that I had a fleeting thought on and I felt like I wanted to think about, was the thought of looking at people who have opposing views. They see things differently, and whether we want to slap a label on them of like, why are people so dumb, or like, why do people not look into things further, or whatever. I feel like I look around me in the world right now and I feel like everyone's saying the same thing. No matter what side of the fence you sit on, I feel like everyone is saying, why can't people just be nice? Everyone is kind of painting people who don't agree with them as idiots. We're all very inclined to go for a simple narrative when we look at another group of people, right? A simple narrative as to why they might be feeling the way they feel, as opposed to looking and being like, is there another belief that they have? And really asking questions. You know, my therapist actually gave me a book that I'm about to read, which is a big deal because those of you that follow me know that I don't actually read. I listen to Audible books, but I am actually planning on reading this book. And it's called What to Ask When You Don't Know What to Say. And so I can't speak to the book because I haven't read the book yet, but oh, there he goes. In general, I think we have a tendency to make assumptions about people, to slap titles on people, to really make like rude, private, assumptions or opinions, whatever, and then turn around and be offended when people do the same thing to us, when people assume our heart, our position, our specific beliefs. And then it feels hurtful and we're offended, when in reality, if we slow down and look at ourselves, my baby's not a hypocrite yet. He's not old enough to be one. Say hello. I mean, that's a cute baby if I've ever seen one.
Yes.
So much trouble. Ow.
You got an eye boogie. Get the eye boogie.
Say bye, baby. Say bye, baby. I actually can't remember where I left off. I guess the point is, it's fascinating to me how in general, as human beings, we tend to assume the worst, and we'll do it so quick, and we'll slap simple titles on people or decide that we know what they think because it makes us feel better. It makes us feel more comfortable, more confident in our own position if we just like assume that we know what they think, and we write them off with a simple word as, you know, stupid or uneducated or whatever, racist, a conspiracy theorist, whatever it is, we like to make simple assumptions because it's easier for us to process versus trying to understand what an opposing viewpoint is and how they got to that perspective, really trying to trace their steps and understand. Dan and I were actually specifically talking about one viewpoint today. So, okay, this is kind of a low-key passion of mine. I mentioned this to you. I really like immersing myself in other viewpoints and trying, why is this car just like parked in front of my driveway? It's really tripping me out that they're not driving away. Yeah, I really like immersing myself in other viewpoints and trying to really understand how people got to the perspective that they got to. And I actually said to Dan this morning, we were talking about something else in particular, and it is a kind of newer viewpoint I haven't really explored. And Dan and I were talking, and it's like we get the gist of it's like we might think we understand, but I said to him, I'm like, dude, I don't actually understand the details of what people who believe this viewpoint believe and how they actually got to that perspective. And I feel like in general, I see a lot of people online posting things about people who are on an opposing side to them, and they'll slap titles and words that are so mean and harshly judgmental, very like very big claims. I mean, that's the thing. It's fascinating how quick we are to give someone's character a slanderous name, and we will throw out our history with them. We will throw out that person's history because we are so offended by something. We won't slow down and say, hey, am I being triggered by something in my own personal life? Am I making an assumption here without finding out the truth? Am I doing the same thing to other people that I'm telling them not to do? I'm telling, why are people so rude? Why are people so hypocritical? Why are people like this? Everybody should just be nice. Everybody should just do that. But how closely are we examining our own hearts? You know, real conversation about topics, especially if you sit on the opposite side of someone in terms of like a spectrum and an opinion, they're hard to have, right? Because people have emotions attached to their conclusions, to how they got to their viewpoint. Car. And people have emotions, another car. People have emotions because they're also usually, in my opinion, attached to some kind of real life experience. Now, the interesting thing, side note about real life experience, okay, how do I even word this? Back in the day, I went and saw Tony Robbins in conference. To those of you who don't know what Tony Robbins is, he would not like the title motivational speaker, but we're going to go ahead and call him that because that kind of gives you an idea, if you don't know who he is, what he does. Tony Robbins. It was a really interesting conference. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there that I'll never be going back to a Tony Robbins conference because it was really intense. That's for me personally. But Tony Robbins has changed a lot of people's lives, and probably for me, the number one thing that I took away from him, just as a teacher in general, and from his conference, and the thing that I was really like, whoa, that's very profound. I was going to say the profundity in this thought, but I think I just wanted to use the word profundity, was the concept of reality and the stories that we tell ourselves. So there's this, it's really interesting because often people will hold beliefs because, you know, there's emotion attached, maybe some semblance of research, but we already talked about this in the health and diet one, that I think, you know, all research, all news, all science, everything is biased. Even if the goal of science is to find repeatable truth that can happen over and over. We talked about this in that video. Science has to be funded. Scientists often come out with different conclusions, but that's not necessarily as like advertised in what we would consider mainstream media. The fact that scientists do come to different conclusions. I actually don't even remember the point. Literally, I'm sweating so much. I feel like my shirt is about to be showing all of the sweat. Wait, what was the point? Where was I going? Oh, that's the point, right? People will usually come to their conclusions or their perspectives from a mix of, you know, news, personal experience. They feel very emotional about it. But the thing is, and why it can make it hard, is because these personal experiences, or one of the many reasons I'm sure, these personal experiences, this emotion, you know, how much of that, and I think it's worth asking when we're examining things, how much of our personal experience, and I say this carefully, guys, carefully, I'm not trying to trigger anyone, how much of it is real And that's not to invalidate someone's personal experience, because your experience, your emotions are valid in the sense that, like, you have a right to feel how you want to feel. You were the one that sat and experienced whatever it is that you experienced, and you're allowed to feel how you're going to feel about it. But what really became clear to me with the Tony Robbins conference, and why I agreed with him, is because, you know, even if you look at like court cases, right? I've heard this before, that apparently eyewitness evidence is actually not even considered super sound, because people can have so many different perspectives of the same scenario. People can go into something and leave it and have a different story. And so Tony's whole thing was like, is your story actually serving you and where you want to go in life and your emotional health and your goals and all of that? Now, granted, Tony Robbins has had a lot of drama come on him in the last like couple of years, and I don't even necessarily disagree with that drama. Like I said, I don't plan on ever going to a Tony Robbins conference again. Not that you needed to know that, but it was very intense, and it was very like religious, and I already have my religion, you know what I mean? But I've said this so many times before, you eat the fish, spit out the bones, or I heard someone say recently, eat the meat, spit out the bones, same thing, right? And that was one of the main things that I took away from him, that I found and I felt like was true. You know, wondering how many times in our life have we kind of taken a scenario and told ourselves a story around it, and then built an identity around that. And then slowing down and asking yourself, like, is that true? Is that what really happened? Is there another way to see this? Now that was kind of, gosh, I go so many different directions, guys, but I'm saying all of that to say that people end up at their opinions for a reason, right? And a lot of people have been posting things like, we need to become okay with admitting that we were wrong. We need to become okay with learning new information and adjusting accordingly. And I fully believe in that. And I was going to say something like really, I don't think this is rude, but like my thought in terms of if we're talking about hypocrisy right now is sometimes I'll see people post that and I'm literally like, okay, but you're not, I don't feel like, are you talking about yourself? Or are you just saying like, everybody that's following me, everybody that sees me, if I give you new information, then you need to adjust and, you know, do what you got to do accordingly. It seems like it's still promoting your perspective. And that's kind of the vibe that I get from a lot of these posts. And that might not be the vibe. It's just the series in which people are posting. I'm like, I think that's what they're talking about. They're telling us that we need to get information and adjust accordingly, not are they going to be exposed to possibly something on the complete other side of the spectrum and then adjust accordingly, or are we going to be so set in our ways that it doesn't matter what else we get exposed to, that we're like, nope, I've already made up my mind and that's it, because that is hypocritical. And I think it's important that we all evaluate ourselves and ask, how often am I doing that? Like, am I closed down to new information? And I'm not talking about new information that supports my already existing viewpoint, although I'm not really against that. Like I've said this before, a lot of people talk about like echo chamber stuff, and I'm not really against finding out more information and, you know, stories and studies and all of that to support your already existing viewpoint. But there needs to be an openness of like, what if I'm wrong about this? So like, what is the other side, for lack of a better phrase, saying about this? And what if they're right? And then reading, or if you don't like to read like me, listening, you know, to talks, interviews, audible books, whatever, and not only trying to understand their perspective, but weighing it against our own to see like, am I wrong here? Did I evaluate this wrong? And am I open to change? And I don't even know, man. I keep going back to like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. There have been so many times where I've been on the internet, honestly, and I look at what people are posting and I'm like, you are so hypocritical. Like, you are bullying other people when rewind 6 months or whatever, you were posting about how bullying people online can cause serious mental health, which I agree with, mental health issues, depression, which I agree with, suicide, which I agree with. It can cause all of these problems. But now You've decided that something else is so important that you're throwing out all of that, and you are going to berate people who do not agree with what you agree with. And if they don't agree with what you agree with, you're going to slap a title on them and simplify. My friend actually said this the other day. I was like, oh, duh, that's such a basic, great word. You're going to use a straw man argument, which means something that doesn't even exist. If you don't know what that means, it means like fighting the other side and being like, I can't even think of an example, honestly. No, we'll give a good one for what's going on right now. Racist. That's a good one. Racism. And, you know, or things with the mask. I said I wasn't going to talk about what's going on, but this is good. This is good because it's going to come back to me and how much of a hypocrite I am ultimately. So don't feel too attacked. The mask thing, you know, if someone doesn't want to wear a mask, they're selfish and that's it. Or they're uneducated and that's it. And rather than digging in and being like, wait, is this person that I've known my whole life, or however long you've known the person, who has only been kind, thoughtful, smart, inquisitive, whatever you deem that person to be, however you have held them previously and however they've shown themselves to be, am I suddenly going to, I don't even know what the word is, throw the baby out with the bathwater, or see that they hold a differing view than me and just be like, whoa, guess I was wrong all of these years, I'm out, and throw away the relationship? And on top of that, are we going to just slap a label on them rather than trying to understand what it is they're saying? Because I don't know, maybe I still have too much like trust in man and society, but I don't feel like people just like come to their conclusions super simply. And maybe they do, like I said, maybe I'm wrong with that, but I feel like people have reasons, and I think it's a much more like it's better worth our time to try to understand people's reasons so we can actually weigh out different options versus just picking a straw man argument, which then makes it so we don't have to go down and find out what the other side is saying, because we've slapped them with a label that everybody knows is wrong, and or at least we think everybody knows is wrong. We've slapped them with a label that makes us feel comfortable about staying in the viewpoint that we already have and not exploring other options, not going, okay, why is this person who, like I said, has been, you know, nice, maybe they're intelligent, they've been good to me, why do they hold a different view than me? Like genuinely, rather than slapping a label on me or on them, what do I think that they really think, and how can I find out? So that whole big rant comes back to, that's what's been going on in my head, right? And then somewhere over the last little while, and this is kind of, like I said, been like a lifelong thing and a thought that I'll have, but recently, somewhere along the line in having those thoughts, I kind of started policing myself. That's a weird word choice considering what's going on, but I started policing my own thoughts, and I started thinking, how often am I slapping labels on people? How often am I seeing people do things or say things, and then I fill in the blanks with what else I think that they're thinking, what else I think they're going to say? How often am I saying rude things about them quietly behind closed doors? Now, I'm going to be honest, I strive not to do that very often. It just doesn't feel good for me. But, you know, if you're a Christian and you are measuring to perfection, right? So like perfect, sinless, whatever, you will know that even if you're a good person, which I strive to be, I strive to do all of these things. Striving is not the right word, but it is. You know that we're sinners, right? We're still messing up all of the time. And I've been thinking about that with myself. You know, I want to be really conscious of this period of time, especially that's going on in the world, where people are hurt and upset for a lot of different reasons. I want to be conscious of not jumping to conclusions about people and why they think something. So not only like putting words and thoughts into their mind and their mouth that weren't even there, right? I just assume it. I don't want to do that. And B, I want to be someone that when I do choose to have conversations with people that I don't agree with, that I'm able to keep my eye on what I know about that person. So like if this is a person in my personal life, and I know them, like I mentioned, to be a person of integrity and kindness, and that they're intelligent, I want to keep my eyes focused on that and search for the truth of what they believe and why, as opposed to immediately just demonizing them with a label and then not having like a relationship anymore or creating distance. I think that a lot of this stuff is creating a lot of I know it's creating a lot of problems in people's relationships. It's dividing people, and suddenly it just seems like it's not okay to have a different perspective from whatever that person is that you're talking to. Like, we see it, right? We see the divide that is happening, and it makes me really sad that we have become willing to throw out history with people and our previous experiences, which means the same thing, because we're so amped, we're so defensive, we're hurting for other people, we're feeling emotional and sad about what's going on. I guess, I don't know, I just want to encourage anyone out there that's feeling the way that I'm feeling to pause and look at yourself, because honestly, I don't want to say that's all we can do, because it's not. There's a lot of ways you can get involved and fight for the things that you care for and fight in the areas that you see injustice happening. There's a lot, right? But the first thing that we can do, and actually this brings me to who one of my guests I think is going to be, my friend George. He actually released a shirt recently that said, change starts with me. And it's so basic, right? And almost kind of like corny sounding, like change starts with me. But I literally believe that that's one of the truest statements that I've heard thrown around in all of the chaos that's going on. Change starts with me. And who am I to look out and throw judgment on other people and put labels on them and assume that I know their intent behind doing something? So like bringing it back to those times where I have specifically done things for friends with like a super good motive, like talking to Dan about how excited I was to do this for them, and you know, like I just loved them and wanted the best for them and was excited, and it was completely read as malicious. They put an intent on me that wasn't there. Now, does that mean that I didn't do anything wrong? I mean, one could say that maybe I should have done something different, like in this one situation I'm thinking of. You know, in retrospect, I don't really think it was a right-wrong thing still, to be honest. I think it was a miscommunication of expectations from each other and what we had hoped would come out of the situation. And I misunderstood them and they misunderstood me. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes there isn't really a right or wrong side. It's relationship preferences that maybe the other person didn't meet. It just makes me sad. I mean, not to be too like woo-woo-wee-wah, but I do believe in evil, right? Because I believe in God, and I believe in good and evil. And I believe that there are people, forces, spiritual forces, however you want to word it, that want division between us. They want our relationships to end. They want us to divide. And not that there's anything I can do about it. All I can do, like I said, change starts with me, is look at myself. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I guess I wanted to just invite you to join me in the pursuit of evaluating our own behavior, my own thoughts, the way that I'm treating the people that I claim to love, the time that I'm giving. I mean, the thing is, I'm not trying to like, I don't know. Okay. So there was this pastor I heard that kind of like made me feel a little bit convicted for a while on this. And he was talking about how he was specifically talking about Christians. If you're not willing to have conversations with other Christians, then if you want to say Satan, if you want to say culture, they've won because they've divided you. And he was basically saying, don't be lazy. Have conversations with your brothers and sisters in Christ. Do it. And I felt really convicted when I heard this. I'm like, I can't be lazy, because there were so many people coming at me for different things. It was like, who do I tell? What do I do? And while I agree with this pastor, I agree with him. On the flip side, I want to present the thought that you also don't owe everybody in the world a conversation or an explanation. And what's weird about social media is we are connected to so many people than we ever have been. In all of human history, we've never had to worry about this many people. And I had to come to that realization myself that, like, okay, Nikki, yes, you want to have these loving conversations with people and get to know the truth. And I do think that's a good thing. Obviously, it's what this whole video is about. But I think we need to be choosy about, like, well, what is our circle of influence? Who are the people that we truly care about? And how much time do we have in the day? Because what I ended up realizing is, like, I'm a new mom. Like, literally, I have to feed my kid. I have to take care of my kid. And I have to still stay in contact with the people that are actually with me in relationship in my life, my family, my close friends. I literally don't have time to have conversations with everyone under the sun. And so the thing is, I want to encourage you kind of to do both, and you choose which side you fall on. Have conversations with people if you want to and if you can. You know, try to keep an open mind. Try to not be on the defense or on the attack. That's an option. That's a great idea. Also, on the flip side, if you're one of those people like me that wants to just talk to everybody and anybody and everybody, at the same time, evaluate where your time is going to go. You know, we only have so much time on this earth. We only have so much time in a day. We only have so much time in a week. And it goes by like that. I don't remember what verse in the Bible it is, but they talk about life being a vapor. You are here and you are gone. And so it's a good, smart move to be cognizant of your time and where you put your energy and what you fight for, what injustices you stand for. Because the thing is, there's so many dude, everybody knows there's so many injustices going on the planet, right? Everybody knows there's endless heartbreak everywhere. But let me tell you, when you become pseudo-famous on the internet, you are really exposed to how many injustices there are, because everybody thinks that because you have people following you, you have to share the injustice that they are passionate about, or otherwise you're a horrible person. And even when you try to explain that to people, a lot of people don't understand the amount of horrific things that people come to you with. And I don't have endless time to have conversations. I don't have endless time to go to conferences and to promote certain things. It's like I have to be choosy, and I think that choosiness and self-awareness is a good thing for us to try to implement in our whole life, right? Being aware of the fact that time is limited. And so be with the ones that you love. Pour into the ones that you love. Being aware that time is limited, so you choose your battles. You pick your fights, even though I know that sounds opposite to what I was saying before about not being a battle, but I'm kind of just using the analogy of, like, it can be tiring to have those conversations, even if you try to keep your guard down. So we're using battle for lack of a better word. But I don't know. I feel like fighting injustice that exists in the world, for me, this might change, dude. And it probably will change as I go through different seasons of my life and have different time for different things. But the way that I see in terms of, like, having important conversations with people, fighting things that are wrong or that you deem are wrong, is that I picture it like having lots of little gardens. And I talked about this in one of my recent tea talks. And if you just water one, you're not only probably going to drown that garden eventually, like, it's not going to be a good thing. It might get moldy. It might, whatever. That's kind of maybe a bad analogy. But it's like, what about the other gardens? Your other gardens are going to die if you don't take care of them. And there are things that are very important besides just fighting evil. Because in order to fight evil and fight wrong, you often have to do other things to support yourself. You have to get enough sleep. You have to maintain strong relationships with people so that you can be emotionally recharged and refueled when you go and fight things that you deem evil or wrong or horrific, whatever, all the same thing. So you have to, sleep. You have to eat well. You don't have to do any of these things. But if you're in it for the long run and you're running a marathon, you really should probably try to water all of your gardens. You should probably try to take care of your relationships. You should probably try to eat well. You should probably try to sleep well. You should probably fight things in the world that you think are wrong and evil. And yeah, I don't even know where I'm going. Honestly, every time I film these videos, I'm like, and was there a point? I just have had the word hypocrisy on my mind, specifically for the last few days, in regards to not only the judgment I'm apparently casting on everyone else, but also myself, and looking inside and really wanting to not be hypocritical. So I keep touching myself all over. It's like I've literally got sweat beating down me. I don't know why I wore a long sleeve shirt out here. It's so hot. It is summer in the South. But yeah, I want to try to not be that, even though people's emotions are high. All of our emotions are high. And I want to try to live out what I want other people to live out. And that is easier said than done, which is why I think the slogan "Change Starts With Me" is actually so profound. And it sounds, depending on your viewpoint and what you believe, it can sound kind of like a cop-out, right? Like, oh, whatever. Like, it's not just about you. You got to go do stuff. And that's true. But change starts with us. And I think that if our mind, body, heart, soul is not doing well, is not being taken care of, is not approaching the world the way that we would like the world to be, I guess you would say, then I don't want to say what's the point. I kind of forgot where that was even going, but like, I don't know. I just think that's what we need to do. So, I mean, I'm officially dripping sweat now, and it's awkward too because I'm pumping. Oh, I think my pumps just turned off. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm so sweaty right now. So I'm going to go inside. But I hope this was an interesting video. Per the usual, I'm always interested to see what you guys say down in the comments. Yes, for myself, but also more specifically for you guys. I don't know about you, but when I go to videos, I'm always straight to the comment section. Like, I know not everybody is like that. I talk to some friends and different family, and they're like, what? You read the comments? I'm like, that's like the first thing I do. I click a video and I go straight to the comments. I love seeing what people have to say, and I kind of feel like that same thing on my channel. Like, we can help and talk and encourage each other in the comments. I have so many moms I know that watch my stuff. Not that you're gonna have anything mommy related to say, but you might, because what's going on in the world, like, corny, right? But this is what our kids are gonna inherit. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I will hopefully see you back here soon with another new video. I think my next video, my next tea talk, is going to be a vitamin tea talk. I'm thinking that's where I want to go next. But I couldn't get this word hypocrisy out of my head. And so I just felt, I went with my feelings, and I felt like that was just what I wanted to talk about first. So I hope you guys are doing okay out there. Actually, I hope you're doing well. But I just know that doing well can feel like a tall order right now with everything that's going on. But I hope you're doing well. And I will hopefully see you guys back here soon with another new video. And yeah, that's it. All right, bye guys.